Hey guys, how's it going? It's Auret here. In this video, we're going to look at how to design a Facebook ad in Photoshop. And specifically in this video, I'm going to look at how to design a Facebook ad that when you run it, it encourages people to come and opt in to some sort of email list of yours so that you can give away a lead magnet, a freebie, a guide, anything like that. If you're planning on running a Facebook ad for something different, that's totally fine. You'll still get value out of this video because you'll start to understand what needs to be included in a Facebook ad and what to stay away from, because there are certain requirements that Facebook has in terms of the size of the Facebook ad, as well as how much text is going to be on the image itself. So let's get started. I'm actually going to be designing a Facebook ad. I have to design one for a client anyways. And just to give you an idea, I've designed something like this for a client where she wanted to run an ad to download a copy of her guide. So when they click on the ad, they would go to her landing page and download a lead magnet there. There's also something like this where it was a challenge that Luna Mama was running on her page, and she wanted to run an ad to encourage people again to come to her site. So I'm going to be creating something similar for a client today. She's actually, she has a guide that is a 3-day detox plan and wants to create something similar to this where she's going to run the ad to have people download a copy of this detox plan. So the very first thing that you want to ask yourself is, what kind of Facebook ad are you going to run? Because the dimensions of how you're going to be creating this will be different depending on what kind of ad placement you are going to be running. So I always come to this page first. It's called the Facebook Ads Guide, and I'm going to put the link to this in the description below. And here is where you'll be able to find the exact dimensions and what sort of requirements are needed when you're creating this Facebook ad. So if you look here where it says choose your ad placement, there's a bunch of different ads types of ads that you can run. There's one in the Facebook right column. There's one for the Facebook Marketplace. And as I'm choosing these, you may notice that some of the requirements here or recommendations will change slightly. So that's why it's important to know what kind of ad that you are running so that you can make sure that you're creating the right size image for the type of placement. So today in this case, she's going to be running an ad in the Facebook feed. So I need to look at these recommendations here. Basically, I come here to look at the size. How big does the ad need to be? What dimensions? And the resolution is typically the highest resolution, which is 300. So you see here that the file type that they need is a JPEG or PNG. The ratio has this ratio, but I typically like to look at the exact pixels to look at the size dimensions, which is down here. So this is if you're going to be running a Facebook ad and including a link in the ad, you want to use these size dimensions right here, which is what I'll be needing. So 1200 by 628, and also just making sure that it's the highest resolution image possible. Now you'll see here it says images that consist of more than 20% text may experience reduced delivery. So it's really important to remember for Facebook ads in the feed is that if you include too much text on the image, Facebook might not run the ad at all, or the reach may be a lot lower. So we're going to look at that. There's a way to test whether you have more than 20% text on your image. So we'll go through that a little bit later in this video. So right now I'm just looking at the dimensions 1200 by 628. I'm going to open up Photoshop and then go to File, New. You can see here it's already set, but I need to make sure it's 1200 pixels by 628 pixels. And then just make sure that the resolution's 300. I'm going to say OK, and it's going to create that canvas for me. All right, so how do we fill out this blank canvas? So Before I come and start designing, I typically like to gather all of my creation assets, meaning any images that the client sent to me, any text or words that they sent to me to be included in the Facebook ad. I will make sure I will have that handy. So all that the client sent to me was actually one image that she had previously used for something else, and she gave me her colors as well as what type of ad she's going to be running. So that gave me an idea for what kind of call to action to run. So I'm going to put in that image that she sent to me. So I'm going to go to File and Place. And then I'm going to find that image, which is right here. So this is the image she sent to me. I'm going to click the check mark and I'm going to move that into place. I'm going to move it over here. And so, okay, so we got our image in there. It already has text on it. So that's something to keep in mind. The benefits and tips part on this yellow banner will need to be covered somehow. So like I said, this is an ad for detox, but that needs to be removed. It's not benefits and tips, it's actually a plan. So need to do some sort of creative editing there to get rid of that. And then I imagine we'll have on this side the place where we have the button and sort of showcase a little bit of the plan, like you saw in this example here. So again, we're going to be creating something similar. Instead, the image here is on the right, so I put the image here on the left, and going to be creating something like this, where we have 3 pages sort of peeking with a download button. So let's do that. So if the image is already quite busy, I like to put something that is less busy in terms of an image on the other side, so just more clean, more simple. And her colors are, besides the greens that she has here, white, light gray, and black. So I'm going to look for something that's a light gray or a white to just kind of brighten up this image a little bit more, since this side is kind of dark already. So kind of like since it's a detox, I'm thinking something natural like wood. So I'm going to go to Pixabay, and Pixabay is a place where you can find royalty-free imagery, and you can download it and use it in your projects for free. So it's a great resource to use, and I use it all the time. So I'm going to type in here maybe white wood background. And let's see what comes up. All right, so, oh, that's already good. This is nice too. So I'm just gonna kind of take a peek. I just roll over the Photoshop icon so I can kind of see that color, the color of the greens with the little bit of yellow, and then look over to these images here on Pixabay and see what kind of works best. So because this kind of has a little bit of a green, and it's not really the same kind of green, it's a lot brighter, more saturated than the image, it might stick out too much and not really mesh well. So I'm going to go for something even simpler like this. White texture wood, that looks good, and it's also in line with her colors. So to go ahead and download, you just click the free download button. It says right here, it's a Creative Commons image, free for commercial use, no attribution required. So just double check here always, because sometimes you might need to give attribution depending on how you're using this. So I'm going to click on free download. That size is fine. Download. I am not a robot. And we're going to download that. It's going to come back to Photoshop, and now we're going to place that. So go to Place, File, Place, and then right here. Boom. So I'm going to move it over like so, and click the check mark. Now I want this layer to be behind this one, so I'm going to go right here and just drag it underneath. So whatever layer is on top will be on top in the canvas. So that will be the layer that's in front. So that looks pretty good. If you want, you can kind of move the image around behind to see what it looks like, because I'm kind of noticing it's a lot brighter as the image goes towards the right. So let's just kind of use that. Oh, I want the wood pieces to kind of be equal on either side, so let's do something like that. All right, so now we need to create our little page previews of the free download. So this was actually a guide that I also designed for her, a 3-day detox guide with recipes and a shopping list. So I'm going to take little screenshots of a few pages of these so I can use it in Photoshop. Now to take screenshots or snippets of my screen, I use a tool called Jing. And when you download Jing, I will again leave that link down in the description below so you guys can check it out. When you download it, it's a little sun like this that sits on top of your laptop screen. And it is so awesome because all I need to do is click that. It gives me like a cross, gives me something like this, and I just need to click and drag. So I'm literally cutting out the page from my screen. I'm going to go capture image. I'm going to go copy, come back here onto Photoshop, and then on my keyboard I'm just going Control V, which will paste it. If you're using a Mac, I think it's something like Command V, maybe. Instead of Control would be the Command button on a Mac. So there is the page. It is way too big. So I'm going to reduce the size. To resize it, just go to Edit and Free Transform, and you'll see these little squares on the edges. Now if I were to just click on them and just start resizing it, you'll see here it'll distort the image. So I don't want to distort the image. In order to keep the proportions the same, you need to hold a button on your keyboard to do that. So I'm just going to undo that. So I'm holding down Shift, and then I go ahead and click and drag it to make it smaller. So you see here, it keeps the dimensions. So I'm going to make it small enough to still kind of see the heading at the top, but to kind of distort the text because we don't want people seeing the free information already. You want people to download it. So I'm distorting the smaller text, but still making it big enough so that they see the larger text, like they can see here, you have a plan for day 1, day 2, day 3. So I think that looks good. I'm going to hit the check mark. Yeah, that size looks good. So I want to create 2 other pages to kind of peek out from behind. So let's go back to the guide and let's see here. I'm going to grab one of these pages, detox recipe. Again, I'm using Jing, so clicking on capture, clicking and dragging, and then capture image, copy. You can also save it as an image to your laptop, but if I'm doing design work like this where I just need the image right away, I just hit copy instead of saving it. And going back here, going Control V to paste it. Again, it's too big, so I am going to go to Edit, Free Transform. You can also hit Control T on your keyboard as a shortcut. Again, I'm not sure what it is for Mac, maybe Command T. So again, to keep the dimensions the same, I'm holding down Shift and then clicking and dragging to adjust the sizing here. So that looks good. Check mark. Oh, right, I want to move it behind. So again, you're going to come over to the layers and I'm going to move it underneath that first layer like so. And I'm going to kind of play around with the placement too. So I can either keep it upright like this, and have it kind of peeking from behind, or I can tilt it a little bit, again, like you saw here. See how the page is a little bit tilted over and it's sitting behind the cover. So to do that little tilt, oh, by the way, I want to adjust the detox recipes image there, and right now it's only moving the first one. That's because that layer of the first image here is selected. So I'm going to go click on the layer that I do want to work with, which is that layer behind, and then move that around. So again, I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and just move your cursor until you see kind of a little curved arrow cursor, and then when you click and then move it from right to left, that's how you can adjust the angle or the tilt of that page. So let's try something like this. I'm going to check mark that again. Go back to this front layer. I kind of want them to see detox recipes behind. And then there's also a page with a shopping list, so I want them to see that heading as well on the ad. So let's go back to the guide here and scroll until, okay, so here's the shopping list. I'm going to do the same. Oh, oops. Cancel that. Let's do that again. Okay, capture image, copy, back to Photoshop, Control V to paste, Control T using the shortcut. Same thing as Edit, Free Transform, right, as we did over here, except I use a shortcut on my keyboard. And then hold down Shift and just click and drag from the corner to reduce the size. And get them about the same size. Okay, I think that looks good. Let's move that behind the first layer only. Okay, so in between. So I'm gonna do the tilt thing again. Edit, Free Transform, tilt it slightly, and then move it into place. Okay, so just need to adjust the movement here. So again, I'm clicking on layer 1 to do that so they can see. Now, this might not be the best looking layout. I would want to try the stacking layout that I had before. So I'm going to actually, so you'll notice when you're designing, it's a lot of trial and error. You'll design something and it might not look good to you, so you just kind of have to adjust accordingly. So I've selected the detox shopping list here. I'm gonna move it back as it was, straight like that. And same with this layer here. And let's see what that looks like when I've stacked it. So go from there. To here. To here. Okay. I don't know. What do you guys think? What looked better? Maybe something like this, which is kind of a combination of both. So I have that staggered over there. And the first one's over here. Now, see, I think it was better the other way. So I'm going to go Control Z, and that kind of undoes your moves. Undoes your moves. So let's go undo, undo, undo. Have it back to where we had it before. So let's go with that. Sometimes when I'm designing something and I'm taking way too long to decide what looks good, I will just kind of say, okay, that's it. Like, I can't make a decision. Let's see what the client thinks. So I'm going to send it as is and see what she thinks, how she likes it, because She might have a completely different suggestion. Just kind of moving things around. Okay, there we go. Let's go with that for now. And then all we need to do that's left here is creating a button that says download your free copy. So I like to go here to the Shapes tool. Now, it's currently on the custom shape option right now, but if you hold it down, you'll see that there are all of these other ones. So I'm going to go with the rectangle tool, and then we want the button to be, okay, she said her colors are yellow, green, black, and white with gray. So want a color that pops. Let's go with yellow for that call to action button. So I want to grab this exact same yellow here so that everything balances out. In order to do that, I'm going to click on this little color palette thing, and it's going to give me the color picker tool. So I'm going to hover over the yellow, click once, and then it's going to get a sample of that exact color. I'm going to click OK, and then you'll see here that I've sampled that exact color, and we want that to be filled. Yeah, great. So it's already set to fill with that yellow. If it isn't, you'll see it here from your recently used colors. Stroke is an outline, what color you want your outline to be for the rectangle shape. I don't want any border color or outline, so I'm going to leave that as blank. And then you can also adjust how thick your outline will be. So again, I'm just going to leave that blank because we're not using an outline. And then coming here and clicking and dragging to create that button. So let's do something like this. Okay, and again, it's behind, so I'm going to bring it up right to the front by clicking and dragging the layer. I'm going to grab this tool here, the cursor tool, so that I can move it into place. I actually want the button to be a little higher, like here, but I also want, I don't want this to get cut off. So I'm going to make all of these pages a little bit smaller. So if you want to resize multiple things at once, all you need to do is select, you can select multiple layers. So layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3 here are all of my little pages that I have on here. So I'm going to select all of them, which basically means I'm clicking on one and then holding down Control on my keyboard and then clicking on layer 3 and then clicking on layer 2. So I've selected all 3 of them. Now I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and it's going to give me the resizing for all 3. So again, I'm holding down Shift so that it doesn't distort the proportions. And then I'm clicking the corner here and dragging it inwards to make it smaller so that I can move it up more, like so. Awesome, and then clicking the checkmark button. Okay, so now we have some space between the pages and the button. And the button, I want to add some text on that to say, download your copy. So I'm going to go to the text tool over here, clicking on that, and then I'm going to click on here. Wow, the text is massive, so let's reduce the size. By going up here, I'm going to choose maybe 18. I think it needs to be even smaller. 12. Download. Oh, we need it to be a different color. So let's go here. Let's make it black. So I'm going to select that color from up here since it's already there from my swatches. Click OK. Let's try that again. Oh, right. It's the reason why it's not showing up is because it's behind the button. So let's move that right up front. So clicking here, this is the text layer. I'm dragging it all the way up top so we have it on top of the button, not behind. And we're going to have to make that a lot smaller as well. So to edit the text again, I'm going to go back, click here on the text tool, click that, and let's make that smaller. So going up here to the sizes, I think 9 would fit. It's gonna be download your copy. Now I want to change the font of this. So I'm going Control A to select all of that text. And just a bolder font. Like Lato. And I want it all to be in caps. So I'm going to go here to the characters tool set, because this is where I can modify my text a lot more. I want them all to be capitals. So this is the all caps option. And I want it to be squeezed in a little bit more so that we can have all of that room to add, or so that we can make sure that it fits on the button. So I can either, again, reduce the sizing of the text or kind of squeeze it in. Let's see what it looks like when I squeeze it in. So this is the horizontal scale percentage. 100% is the way that you see it as is. If I were to go higher than 100%, the text would widen, but I want to make it narrower. So I'm going to say, let's try 80%. 80% that way, and maybe it looks too squished. So I'm going to adjust the vertical scale, which is the way the text looks like this. Vertical scale, let's set that to 90 and see what that looks like. Let's move that into place. So that's what it looks like. I think I want to choose a bolder font. So again, I'm going to click on the text tool, select all of that, and I can either adjust the font from over here or over here. It doesn't matter. Oh, let's try something like Futura. But see, it condensed it so much that I can actually go back to 100% here on the horizontal scale. And I can actually even make it a little bit bigger. So let's go size 10. There we go. That's better. That's what I want. A bolder font. Okay, now I just want to make the button stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to put a shadow behind the button. So the button is right here, the rectangle that we created. I'm going to double click on that and select drop shadow. And that adds a little shadow, as you can see, behind it. I can adjust the shadow as well, the distance of the shadow, as you can see here, the sizing of it. So you can play around with those to see what you like best. I'm going to leave it right there. Click OK. And oops. See, again, I have the wrong layer selected. I actually wanted to select the text. And if you find that you're moving it with your cursor, it's not going exactly where you want to go, you can use the arrows on your keyboard. As long as that layer is selected, you can use the arrows on your keyboard to adjust the exact placement. Okay, it's coming together. So all that's left now is for me to just cover this part that says benefits and tips, because again, anywhere we can remove text would be great, because Facebook doesn't like that on the ads too much. This kind of text, it doesn't really count because you don't really see it, but it is to be mindful of, where you can clearly see these big pieces of text, to reduce that as much as possible. So I'm going to put a yellow box over top of that. Again, using my rectangle tool. It's already set to fill in the same color, so just gonna go right on top of that. And boom, it's gone. So I think this is pretty much good. I can send this to the client just to get a feel for what she likes already. So before I do that though, I want to check this to see if Facebook says there's too much text on it, or what needs to be done, because if there is, then we have to be sure to reduce the amount of text on this. So I'm gonna first save the PSD file. So I'm gonna hit save, and I'm going to save it on the desktop for now. Gina Facebook ad. So I've saved the Photoshop file. Always remember to save the actual Photoshop file because that's the source file that you'll want to come back to in case you need to make any changes. But now I'm going to save it as a PNG file. So the format, instead of PSD, it's going to be PNG. Again, save it to desktop, hit save. I just like saving it as a PNG instead of JPEG because PNG is just higher quality. So, I mean, if you're not using this for a website or anything like that where you have to be mindful of space, of size of images, then PNG is fine. All right, and then I'm going to come back to this page that we were at right here, and I'm going to find the link. There's supposed to be a link on here. I think let's click on Learn More. There's supposed to be a link that when you upload your image, you can check to see if there's too much text. Oh, right here. Click here to use our tool. Perfect. This is the image text check. I'm going to put this exact URL in the description below so you guys can go directly there. You don't have to click on a bunch of stuff like I just did. So I'm going to upload the image that we just created and let's see what it says. So you see here there's a bunch of ratings that you'll get. Okay, it says medium. So it says your ad reach may be much lower than usual because there's too much text in the ad image. Facebook prefers ad images with little or no text at all. That's interesting because the other image that I ran, this one, was okay. I'm guessing because there's no like extra text here. This does have a little bit more text than that one. So I'm going to go back and make those adjustments to this Facebook image to make sure that it lowers the amount of text here. And I'm going to come back in here, do the image text check to make sure that it is. I want it to be either a low or an okay. So that's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to go back to Photoshop, spend a little bit more time on creatively reducing the text within this image, probably get rid of Gina's detox right over here because it already says that up here. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time doing that, but that gives you an idea of how to start creating your Facebook ads using Photoshop. If this video has been helpful for you, please let me know by either leaving me a comment below or giving it a thumbs up on the video. And if you have any specific questions from something you might have seen in this video, please let me know. Again, you can use the comments section for that. This is the first sort of Photoshop tutorial that I've created on the channel, so if you'd like to see more of these, please let me know. I use Photoshop for a lot of different things. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Back from the dead.